Hi.
How are you?
Means peace.
Erica Bible.
Hey,
Nice to
good
meet
to
you
meet
in
you.
person. I have a whole lot of time for you whenever you're ready for
Awesome.
that.
Yeah.
We need all documents that need signed. And you don't
Okay.
need it.
Okay.
What they are, or they need signed.
Okay.
And then you can scan them back in. They don't need originals. of anything.
Oh.
There are a couple that need reference.
Okay.
So just whenever you get these sent, you want to send them back to Terry.
Perfect.
And we do have Raymond James's documents in first class.
Okay. I got a haircut. I just didn't ask for it.
So
It's God's way of adjusting my hair. Are we ready? Ready? You ready? We'll wait till these folks get in real quick. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dauphin County Board of Commissioners legislative meeting for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. I would ask that we rise and observe a moment of silence followed by a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just like to remind everybody that we are being live streamed again today. So for all of you who are in attendance, we are attempting to do all we can to help educate our citizens and engage them in a way that can allow us to be even more productive in being able to serve them. So as a reminder that you are on camera today. So thank you. The first order of business is the approval of minutes for the June 26th, 2024 workshop meeting, legislative meeting, and last week we did have a combined meeting. I would entertain at this time a motion to be able to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Douglas.
I will second the combined workshop meeting, legislative meeting minutes.
Second by Commissioner Preece. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. Next order of business is the approval of the June 26, 2024 salary board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion? Moved by Controller Bateman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Douglas. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. Executive sessions held between meetings. Mr. Pease.
Good morning, Commissioners. On July 9th, the Commissioners held an executive session to obtain the advice of legal counsel on the proposed maximum parameters ordinance for general obligation notes Series A of 2024 taxable and general obligation notes Series B of 2024 tax exempt. In addition to the solicitors, Scott Shear of PFM participated in part of the executive session to provide financial advice to the Commissioners on the proposed transaction.
Any questions for Mr. Pease? Hearing none, I see that directors and guests are next, but before we do that, why don't we open this up to our first round of public participation on agenda items only. Prior to any kind of presentation today, we want to give the public an opportunity to be able to participate on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience that needs or would like to comment on agenda items? All right, hearing none, directors and guests, we've got today Raymond James, PFM, and McNeese Wallace and Newark joining us today. If you can come up and provide the presentation. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric and I will tag team this. You should have a couple items on your desk there. The first is kind of a smaller handout that looks like this. You will see it looks pretty similar to what we reviewed a couple weeks ago at the June 26th meeting. So just to maybe recap, go back in time a little bit. So a lot of work, I think, has been done by the administration, by the commissioner, by the finance team over the past several months. I think it started with some initial meetings as the county was looking forward to 2025 and beyond, looking at potential budget deficits, somewhat significant as well. And so the team and administration got together, brainstormed various ideas. One of the ideas that came out on the table that this team here can effectuate if the county moves forward is a debt restructuring. So again, kind of kudos to the county for looking ahead and trying to nip this in the bud sooner rather than later. And so what we have here on the table is just one component of multiple components to help solve that potential budget deficit going forward. And so that's the debt restructuring component of what you have before you. The other item sort of related to that this team can address is when we went back and looked historically and looking ahead again, the county does have some maintenance and capital built into the budget. And so given where interest rates are right now, being below historical averages, it does make sense to maybe take some of that, remove some of that out of the budget and finance for it now, given the interest rate environment that we're able to do. So again, that frees up some cash flow as well. We're also able to reimburse the county for some prior expenditures, capital expenditures made too. So, again, we were looking at a lot of different options to maybe help the county move forward and closing that budget gap. These are just a couple of the options that are all embedded in here. As I mentioned, we have a chart in here that we are below historical averages. We're not at the all-time low interest rates that we saw a couple of years ago, but from the perspective of what the county is looking to do, and based on your good credit rating, based on the market, we feel like if you do move forward, we'll be able to obtain very good interest rates below 4%, 375, 385, somewhere in that ballpark. The other kind of item, as the county's been doing a lot of due diligence, looking at the various potential projects of the new money component in here, because it obviously made a lot of sense that if you are looking to restructure some of the debt, save on economies of scale with cost of issuance and everything else, to also add in some new money that the county has various needs for going forward. So that's all baked in here. Some of that new money may be taxable, some of that may be tax exempt. The bond counsel and the team will be thoroughly investigating and making sure before the bonds are issued that we have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. But also, I think I want to point out that some of those capital projects will also be providing additional revenues to the county as well to help offset some of this debt service. Some of those revenues and savings could be very significant, in the multi-million dollars, maybe even north of $20 million over a long period of time of benefit and savings to the county. So again, a comprehensive plan that's all built into here. Why don't we just quickly turn to page 2 of the handout? Why don't we just go down to why don't we look in the middle chart? So the lots of different interest rate charts we can show. The middle one is a tax exempt index, not exactly correlated to what the county is going to be doing, but it just gives you a general proxy of where the market is right now. This goes back to the early 1990s, and you can see where we are on the right-hand side. Again, we are below historical averages. The little box sort of on the left-hand side of that middle graph shows that about 60% of the time rates are higher than where they are right now. So again, based on where the absolute rate levels are, plus the county's good credit rating, we feel good that you will receive good rates if you do decide to move forward here over the next couple of weeks. We can skip page 3. That's just all the outstanding debt that's paid from the general fund of the county. We have highlighted in there the various bond issues that we're targeting for the restructuring to provide that budget relief. I think page 4 is probably the most important, where kind of lots of numbers on this page. Looks again very similar to what was presented a couple of weeks ago, but we have this basically laid out with the different restructuring components and the various new money components, whether they're taxable or tax exempt. But at the end of the day, if you go over to the far right-hand side, column number 9, that shows the relief that the county is going to realize here over the next couple of years, $7 million in 24, and about $6 million, $5 million, $5 million in the following years. So debt service relief from those 4 years, about $23 million in total. So again, some will be realized this year. That will also help towards the budget deficit for next year. You're able to kind of build that up. And then within here is also built into the debt service related to the new money. The parameters ordinance that your bond counsel is going to review is up to 84 million. This page here, the summary, shows probably the more realistic view that we're looking at about 74 million, 75 million. That's probably going to be issued, about 40 million for capital projects, and the balance for this debt restructuring. And then lastly, on page 5, if this does pass today, the ordinance, then the team will continue to do all of its work. A lot of stuff going on in the month of July to prepare all the financial and legal documents and go with the credit rating process that your administration will be deeply involved in, and then looking to price the transaction maybe late July or early August, and then close a few weeks after that. So with that, I will turn it over to Erica to review the ordinance.
Thank you very much, Scott, and good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Erica.
So in front of you this morning is an ordinance which has been prepared by McNeese in accordance with the Local Government Unit Debt Act. The Debt Act being the state statute that governs how debt is issued by municipalities such as the county. This ordinance has been properly advertised for as required by the Debt Act, and that advertisement appeared on July 4th. And the ordinance has been circulated among the financing team, which did include your solicitor as well. The ordinance authorizes the county to issue one or more series of taxable or tax-exempt general obligation notes in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $84 million. And those proceeds of the notes will be used to do a couple different things. First, to effectuate the refunding and restructuring that Scott noted and that's described in his handout for the 2017 bonds, 2028 bonds, and 2020 C bonds. Second, it's to finance and to pay the price and some reimbursements for capital projects, and those capital projects are set forth in Exhibit A to the ordinance. Third, it's to finance some capitalized interest related to the notes, and then finally to finance the cost of issuing the notes. One important thing related to the ordinance that Scott already hit on is that this is a parameters ordinance. So the $84 million is the maximum amount, that's the highest that could be issued under the ordinance, but that number is an inflated number that we use to give flexibility during pricing. So we anticipate the number will be much closer to the number that Scott reviewed, closer to 74 million. The other comment I'll make is these are general obligation notes. So the ultimate security for these notes is the full faith, credit, and taxing power pledge of the county, and that's set forth in Section 4 of the ordinance. If there are any questions about the ordinance, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from either of my colleagues?
Just that this has been reviewed and signed off on by our solicitor's office.
Correct.
Thank you.
And any additional questions?
Is there a time limit to allocate this money once we receive it? What is that time limit?
Yeah, Eric, if you want to review the,
Sure. So you'll want to spend the money no later than 3 years after.
3 years?
I just want to thank the team that's been assembled. I know that I also want to thank my colleagues. I know that we've had a lot of discussion in detail related to both some of the challenges, opportunities. None of us want to face a significant budget deficit. I think when we took a look at this for the first time this year, it was at 54 million. So just to put that in perspective, $15 million is equal to 1 bill. And for us, I think as a board, I've heard consistently from my colleagues that they want to do everything that they can in order to ensure that we are not putting that on the backs of taxpayers in a way that's going to be detrimental. While we have an obligation to provide a level of services, and we know that this county has not moved forward with the tax increase for a number of years, we have been able to manage the debt in a way that has allowed us to remain in a position to be able to do this restructuring. And quite frankly, I think it's one of the options, and we're going to explore them all, from tightening our belt to ensuring that we take a look at revenue enhancements, to take a look at the courts and to the row officers. I mean, this is one step in a process that we are going to do and attempt to do in order to alleviate any burden on the residents that we serve and work for. But this also is a great opportunity from a market perspective. You talked about this not being a position where there are historic lows related to the borrowing, but we also have, I'm taking a look at our county concentration fund right now, and we've got, a 9-month term CD locked up at 5.87%. So there is the opportunity to make positive arbitrage as long as we're managing it under the federal guidelines in a way that those dollars that we borrow can make money until we make those actual determinations. So it's a smart financial move that from a timing perspective, puts us in a decent position from a market perspective. I also think that one of the things I've seen is really a need for significant investment in capital investments throughout the county. We have an obligation to return these buildings and this facility in a way that is going to continue to provide value and operational success for the residents who rely on its services and those who work here. Even though that's not going to be pretty, it's not sort of one of these things that you sell from a policy perspective. I think it is truly important that we take care of those responsibilities in a way that is consistent with the expectation of taxpayers. And I think this allows us to do that, as well as address many issues that, quite frankly, are in need of some level of investment that have been challenged in the past. And I think the idea also of using alternative sources of revenue, federal state monies, to be able to pay back significant amounts of notes doesn't mean that taxpayers are on the hook for the the entire bar. We're going to be creative in figuring out ways to consolidate leases and see things move forward in a way that is actually going to provide savings as a result of this investment for taxpayers moving forward. So quite frankly, I want to commend my colleagues for taking a bold step in moving forward. And if the vote moves affirmatively today, in trying to ensure that we do everything we can to keep the burden off of taxpayers, figure out a way to put our facilities in a position where they will be leaning forward rather than backwards, and hopefully allowing for us to be able to creatively come up with additional revenues to meet these obligations. So I think it's a win-win all the way around, despite being served some lemonade or some lemons as we took a look at the budget picture. So
I just want to add on, I echo those comments. I just want to say that any decision made here on these projects will save us tens of millions of dollars in the next decade or so on these projects. But this is simply a comprehensive wish list of projects to date. No formal decision has been made on these projects that are to be done, but they are comprehensive and within this bond.
any additional comments for our team? And again, thank you for, even in the late night hours, continue to ensure that we're meeting all of the levels of municipal debt and finance action structure in order to make this possible for our action today. I believe at this point, do we want to call for a vote? I believe this is ordinance 2 of 2024 for our consideration. Do we have a motion to adopt these parameters which are set forth under ordinance 2 of 2024?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2, 2024.
Motion made by Commissioner Breeze. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Douglas. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman, I would like the record to reflect that it's my understanding that at least 7 million of this is going to be prioritized for prison projects. I'd just like that to come back.
There, that so noted. Again, as Commissioner Breeze indicated, I think we are all going to address those issues, and we appreciate your passion and efforts in that regard. Any additional discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Salary Board, Ms. Fisher.
Morning, Fay.
Morning, Commissioners. The salary board packet stands as presented at the July 3rd meeting.
Yeah, I had some questions that were already answered. So, Salary Board, you're saying, I don't believe there is formal action today. There's one item for formal action today. Information technology, children, youth, 3 items. Got it.
I'll make a motion that we approve salary board items A for information technology and B, children and youth.
Motion made by Commissioner Breeze. Do we have a second?
Second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Mary can have it.
Second by Controller Bateman. Is there any discussion?
Yes, just that all of these items are within the budgets of these appropriate departments.
Is my understanding, yes.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. All right, the personnel transactions.
There were some additions to the personnel packet. Those additions have been communicated to the board.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the personnel packet with those additions?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Douglas,
Second,
second by Commissioner Breeze. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. Thank you,
Thank
Fay.
you.
Budget and Finance Director, Mr. Davis. Morning.
Morning.
I have no changes to the investment report that was sent out this morning. One item of note on the purchase order packet, you can disregard the first item listed, that PO 100367. That's still hanging out there from the prior packet that was already approved. We're just working through diagnostics still, so.
Got it. With that noted and removed from a motion, do I have a motion to accept the purchase order packet today as presented?
so moved.
Moved by Commissioner Breeze, second by Commissioner Douglas. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right. Next up is the chief clerk's report. Mr. Pease.
I have nothing to report, Commissioners.
Any questions for Mr. Pease? Next report is our solicitor's report. Solicitor Owens.
Thank you. Items 1 through 15 under Roman 8 matters requiring board action have been reviewed and approved for board action.
Any questions for Mr. Owens prior to action?
Nope.
All right. Any matters that are requiring board action today, 1 through 15, need to be pulled out and or voted on separately?
7, 10, and 11 for me.
7, 10, and 11. Okay. Any others? All right. Do I have a motion that would include items 1 through 6, 8, 9, and 12 through 15?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Prees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Douglas. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it. Okay. Items 7, 10, and 11. Do you want to have a conversation?
Item number 7 is a contract amendment between Dauphin County and Sierra Cedar for support services for the annual budget process and open enrollment process. I just want to give the public a history of this. In November of 2021, we agreed to enter into a contract with a master service agreement for $3.1 billion for this service that's changing our entire, software for the county, which is a massive undertaking, as anyone would expect. The rollout date was supposed to be summer of 2023. That didn't happen. We had to push that an extra 6 months, which cost us $995,000, nearly $1 million more dollars, since we had to push that, almost a 33% markup. March 6th, I was asked to, because this is all happening before I got here. March 6th, I was asked to agree to $21,260 to be invested because it wasn't rolled out properly or things were not properly done in order to make sure this tool would work for our county. And then again, April 17th, I was asked again for $54,000 with an extra potential 50 on top of that if needed to resolve, I believe, IT issues. And here we are today, and I'm being asked to approve $43,360. What are the implications if we don't approve this today? Vince, is that something you can let me know?
So the importance of this particular amendment to the contract, this provides support services for the annual budget process that our budget director will be going through with all the department heads or their delegates in the Oracle system, is to make sure that this process goes smoothly and that any hiccups or potential hiccups, and that we have that extra support as we go through that very important process for the first time entering a budget into the new system. The second piece to that is the open enrollment that will happen in the fall. This will be the first time open enrollment is going through this Oracle process. That affects every single full-time employee that receives benefits here. I guess even potentially some part-time, depending on the benefit that is taken. That has also been deemed a kind of critical piece to this, that since before implementation, we had planned to have both of these weeks of support, just as these both are very critical processes that will happen for the first time in Oracle.
All right, so it's critical. We're $1 million over budget based on what we planned on this expense being. We have no room for negotiation, and we're relying on them to fix the problem. However, each time one issue is addressed, a new one arises, forcing us to return to the same source for solutions. I don't see this as a sustainable cycle. Has anyone other than the taxpayers faced consequences for the poor implementation of this tool? Meaning, have we gone back to anybody and said this was the source of the problem? Someone did not vet this properly. Someone did not do something properly. Has there been anyone other than the taxpayers that have faced consequences for this? I know employees have faced consequences who, when this was implemented, didn't get proper payroll. I know many directors have faced consequences of the time and hours that they've had to spend extra in the office in order to work with the tool that wasn't clearly properly vetted. Outside of that, anything?
If the question is disciplinary in
Yes.
nature,
Yes.
I'm unaware of any official.
Okay. Okay. I'm not supporting this today. So I understand its critical nature, but I wasn't here when it was implemented, and $1 million over budget. I can't understand how we continue to we're over a barrel.
And I guess my open comments would be, and I guess we've not made a motion, but it certainly deserve the ability to talk about this. The idea of cost overruns and challenges are something that frustrates and concerns me as well. And to know that we have a consultant in this case that has been brought on to implement a solution that seems to be the only ability for us to be able to get this thing across the finish line does present some troubling concerns. Um, and I also know that there was a process that was undertaken that was, whenever you change an operating system and upgrade for the structural sort of pieces to how county government operates, I don't know if there has been a seamless sort of transition that occurs, at least in my experience and history related to these things. But I don't disagree that this has been extraordinarily challenging and extraordinarily expensive related to the implementation side. And I think you have every right to raise those concerns. And, I think the idea of Sierra Cedar figuring out a way, it was great when we heard from them about the implementation partnership. It's a challenge as we continue to then rely on them for these modules. I also know that, the testing of this and the participation of this was handled not in necessarily the best way. I've raised concerns on numerous occasions related to testing and operations and folks that are participating at levels that should have been done even as we extended those time periods to give folks an additional 6 months before implementation. I mean, there were significant challenges related to implementation, and I think there's no denying that. But I don't know how we move forward in a way that is going to allow us to realize the benefits and the efficiencies and look, we came off of an operating system that was 50 years old. And for us to be able to make an effort to be able to modernize and change it to a paperless system. I remember starting in county government where we've had 3 rings of paper with multiple colors and you had to fill out things 17 times, trying to figure out a way to bring us to modern era. At some point, never thought was going to happen. Progress is challenging and it's difficult, but it needs to occur. And the level of investment that we need to make in order to make it happen, we would hope it would be wrought with much more efficiencies. I do still believe in the solution. I do believe as we've arrived at the solution, all of the end users in this case were the ones who made the decisions, really not the Board of Commissioners. It was those folks from the controllers. We ultimately approved their recommendation, but it was the controller, the treasurer, the personnel department, IT department, all the folks who were ultimately going to be playing into this role, the elected officials that made those decisions and made a recommendation after examining a number of solutions. So I think everybody was vested into its success. The challenges have been, in my opinion, with implementation. And I think it's fair, Commissioner, to ask for, are there anything else? Is there anything else out there? Like, are we going to see something like this again? And are we going to be forced to then make some decisions over whether or not this is going to be just one more additional expense? Or have we vetted this in a way that can assure us that this is going to be one of the last times we're going to be hearing from Sierra Cedar about implementation for a component of this that we need their support on?
So it's my current understanding that we have been working with Sierra Cedar to address some other identified issues that we have argued, we meaning myself, the director of IT, and those others involved in the project that were a part of the initial scope. And so far, over these past couple months, after identifying those and working through them, I believe my understanding of it is that Sierra Cedar is in agreement that these things should have been handled and has begun to address these and put resources to it without the expectation of any further monetary payment. Then with this particular amendment, as I stated before, this was expected and we had planned this for months, but the hours that we had planned to use were basically used during our implementation, the struggles we went through there. So I think now we're here in June or July 10th. We're in a much better position than we were at implementation at the end of December. I think each department understands their specific modules much better than we did 7 months ago. And we have identified the issues that are there. And I mean, I'm not a fortune teller. I cannot predict if something's not going to come up. But at this point, I am unaware of any further ask that will be made as far as anything outside the scope or a further amendment to this,
If something comes up, our first call is going to be to Sierra Cedar to fix it, right?
of course.
Right. So,
But we also, to give IT credit, they have done their best to begin to fully, I wouldn't say begin, they have taken the time to understand Oracle and have even rolled out solutions of their own and are working towards that. So if it gets past IT's expertise, yes, the first call would be Sierra Cedar. But I anticipate that to be few and far between at this point, so at this stage.
if I can, I think a perfect next presentation for a workshop would be Sierra Cedar and IT to come in here and explain to us what they believe would
We
be.
pay them enough, they'll show up.
No, they should be here,
My
the-
goodness.
excluding any kind of payment to provide us an update related to their current status, what their expectations are, and what IT's expectations are related to future liabilities, concerns, and implementation. I for one, I mean, we've spent significant time and energy on this. We can't hold up individuals related to open enrollment and or our annual budget process. I think we've been working on this since January. So for us to be hamstrung is not the direction, but holding them more accountable in a public way is something that I am willing to do and figure out sort of what the liability and expectations are moving forward.
I'd like to comment here. Yes, as Commissioner Douglas said, this was a massive undertaking. We had an old system that was simply no longer serviceable. Thousands of manpower hours have been spent on this by our directors and elected officials and our employees working together. This has had multiple bumps in the road since it has started. Nobody's happy about where we are right now, but we are looking into the future with this, and this system is here to stay. So I'm gonna talk about the glass being half full here and a positive lookout. I think that we should ask Sierra Cedar to provide both of the budget process and enrollment process pieces of this puzzle and provide documentation and a step-by-step process on how to do this. So that, let's say, for example, the employee who's in charge of the open enrollment process, if they were not here next year, who has that inherent knowledge here at the county? We need physical documentation so we can go back and look at it and do a step-by-step process in the future so we don't have to call them back in.
And have
But I
we
think
ever
that
looked
should
at
be
it?
happening in every aspect of what they've done at IT, at human services, human resources, budget director's office. Let's not be absolutely needy of them in the future.
I'm not going to get into the scope of the contract, but it does raise question. What I sort of my line of thinking, why wouldn't we have an Oracle specialist on IT staff that could engage and provide the level of support necessary in order to ensure that we don't have to go to a contracted provider in every case that is certainly not allowing us to be equipped with the resources.
I mean, I do understand that Henry in IT has essentially been given that task and is working towards that. And I think he's done very well so far. And that is the future of this project. It is going to be completely an in-house.
That needs to be a priority.
Yeah, and I believe it is, but I'll make note.
But you're mentioning an individual. We need something in place so that if that individual is not here, Henry or whoever, that George or Justin, myself, the controller, the treasurer, if there's areas under our oversight, we would even be able to go through and punch these items in and make this work. Thank you.
Any other discussion on item 7? You want to take a motion on item 7 for consideration?
So moved.
I will second the item. Any additional discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right. Next would be item 10, Commissioner.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Fred Fayloner as Sarah Board.
Do we have a motion's been made? Do we have a second? Motion's been made. Do we have a second? Hearing none, is there another motion for an appointment to the Sarah Board? I'll make a motion that we appoint Lou Paoletti to the Sarah Board with the term expiring January 1, 2028.
I will second Lou Paoletti, a longtime Dairy Township tax collector, lifetime Dairy Township resident, and employee of Phoenix Contact, who will bring professionalism and expertise in many areas representing the county to the Sarah Board.
Is there any discussion?
Point of order, I have not seen Lou's resume. I provided Fred Fayloner's resume a week ago. I have not had a chance to meet with Lou. I don't have any knowledge of him.
Again, the idea of having that information should occur.
I'm not the one who made the motion, so I don't know why I don't have it.
And again, there's been a motion made and seconded. Again, I would ask that we get the resume and information to Commissioner Douglas as soon as possible. And I talked to you on Monday about attempting to try to do that, Vince. All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Next is item 11. Agreement between Dauphin County Economic Development and Susquehanna Art Museum for the local share municipality grant.
I'm simply abstaining from this because this was done prior to my tenure, and I just, given that it was approved then, and this is a continuation of that, from what I understand, I'm just going to abstain.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The abstention is noted. And just so we know, the training packet that was approved, it was items 5 through 23. Just for the public record, we acted on items 1 through 4 in the previous week. Is there any former business to be brought up by the board? Any new business to be brought up by the board? Commissioners' discussions and actions. Commissioner Douglas?
Nothing.
Commissioner Freeze?
Yeah, I see that our Sheriff Nick Kameni's here. I want to take a moment and say a special thank you to Sheriff Kameni and his professional staff for the great work they have been, are doing, and will continue to do on behalf of our residents. Most folks know the work they do here for security at the courthouse and the courtrooms, prisoner transport, issuing warrants. But anybody who was aware of the threats at the Pennsylvania State Capitol over the weekend, Sheriff's Department was there assisting. All the concerts that take place at Hershey Park Stadium, 30,000 people in the concert, another 50,000 people outside. The Sheriff's Department is there over and over again assisting. So we want to thank you for the great work you do there. The fireworks at Lower Paxton, where we had an issue where individuals were throwing fireworks at the Mounted State Police forces. They were there assisting as well. So not only do you do the work here during the week, you're out working for our municipalities when they call for your assistance 7 days a week throughout the year. And I think that needs to be noted. So please tell your staff that we appreciate the great work that they're doing.
Is there any other comments by board members? Any comments? All right, at this time, it is the final time
No,
for
correspondence, please. Did you do correspondence?
Just going to put a sticky note
Please
here that
do.
says correspondence.
Put one on the microphone. All right, all the correspondence as received will be handed to the chief clerk for formal action. At this time, I would call for the final public participation for anybody in the audience that would wish to appear before the Board of Commissioners. Yes, sir. Come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Philip Ramsey. I'm 79 years old. I'm
You want-
weeks.
Good, sit right here.
This is what I'm going to say, so I'd like to address the crowd. I have two small items that I think the citizens of Dauphin County must be aware of. The first one is I've been a member of the 25th Entry Division since 1965. I've traveled the world. I've been based in Cambodia most of my life. We've done a lot of good things for the government. Some still classified. So I've had a lot of experience visiting Department of Veteran Services all over America. The best one I've ever been involved with was York County, Pennsylvania, Barry Shep. He didn't get in the computer, he got in a telephone. He would call the White House, call the Pentagon, he would call the general. He got things done. Wonderful man, retired to Arizona, and I won't bother Barry. The second best one we had was Tony DeFrancesco. I met Tony a number of years ago when I moved to Harrisburg as my final destination from York. And Tony meant what he said and said what he meant. Did wonderful work, and he's well deserved down in Fort Pierce drinking drinks from an umbrella. He left his department terrible hands. I know this by personal experience. This is going to come up in the civil and federal lawsuit and criminal lawsuits that I filed at the new courthouse up in North 6th Street. I've been through all the pre-trial situations up there. Sylvia Rambo, who did retire, helps him from time to time. Since she's retired, she's about to do that. And I've known Sylvia maybe 35 years. It's going to be solid, and people are going to lose their jobs. And I think that's a good thing. Things that happen to me directly in front of witnesses in this very building, right around the corner over there, I'll stand by. EMT workers came from UMC, they'll testify. So that's going to be done. And if necessary, it'll be a class action suit. The second problem we have is on March 4th, 2023, I was in Westchester on some business. I stayed Quality Inn down by the university. Saturday morning, I got up and they didn't anybody to drive me uptown to get to the bus, to get to Amtrak, to go to Paola, to come back. So she said, go this way, go that way. So for an hour, I walked in a circle, basically. Couldn't get my bearings. I couldn't find a bus stop. So I stopped in a little township building, over something or other, rang the bell. It's on a Saturday. What do you want? I said, well, can you tell me how to get to a SEPTA bus station? Who are you? Well, why do you want to know that for? Well, so I told him who I was. So much like I said, you have a warrant for Dauphin County, you're under arrest. What is the charge? I don't know. Well, they put me in jail for an hour, put me in Chester County. Tuesday, Dauphin came to get me. I was in Dauphin County for 72 days. I asked every day, what are the charges? We don't know. I said, can I make a phone call so I can get bail? Have somebody get me out of here. I can get the money in the bank. Wouldn't do. 72 days. No help, no mail in, no mail out, no contact. The staff in Dauphin County, big guys would come in the morning and said, well, here's your child user here. So why don't you try to see if you can make it work? You could. We got physical several times. I took them out of myself. At the end of May 2023, finally I get to court. The judge looked at the ADA and said, what are the charges? I don't know. You don't know. He's been there 72 days. I was out in an hour, of course. So I went home for a couple of days. I got organized in my head. Get up there in age a little bit, and I'm never going to get those days back. Now I went through this in York County. It's going, we're currently in process down there now. So I did advise the commissioners that somebody's going to pay for that time. I advised them, and that's been some time ago, and I've got no response so far. So my birthday's on the 26th of this month, 2 weeks approximately. I'll leave a self-addressed envelope. If I get a response, fine. If we don't, we're gonna let it drop. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Any other individuals would like to come before the Board of Commissioners? Yes, ma'am.
Happy birthday to that fella.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Ona Osai. I live at 579 Highland Street in Swatara Township. It's my first time at a commissioners meeting today, which is very exciting. But I'm also saddened to hear that not only is some information that I would love to have available to me as like a person who wants to get more involved, not available to us, as in like some of the things that you guys are voting for. There's like packets that aren't linked, into the agenda that I'm sure aren't confidential and could be seen by the public and could be an easy fix, that I would love to see. But I'm also disheartened to find out there's a commissioner that doesn't have what he needs to have to make decisions, like a resume on an appointment. I do think it's important for us to take appointments seriously. And I do think it's important for you guys, the elected officials, even if it's a resume I can't see. I do think it's important for our elected officials, all of you, to be able to see that before you're asked to take a vote on something where it could be consequential to the rest of the people of the county. And I would urge us to make sure that we get that information as possible. I also was like very interested to see that we abolished a pretty well-paying caseworker position at Children and Youth, which I know that there's a lot of stuff happening and we need people to do like social services work. And yeah, I'm wondering why we're abolishing these positions and not replacing them with something else that can benefit the community. So those are the things I have to say today. Oh, one last thing. The $7 million that's going to the prison from that debt restructuring packet. I'm very curious to see what projects at the prison. As you guys know, I care a lot about what's happening at that prison. And I'd be very curious to see what projects at the prison, capital expenditures that are going to happen with that $7 million. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ona, you have my email. Shoot me an email. We have a list of all kinds of projects that need to get done there. It's not that those are going to be the ones prioritized necessarily, but I can show you a list that we're looking at.
Sir. Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Hiroshi Buford.
Hey, good to see you, Roshi. I do. Absolutely. Good to see you again.
Helped you out with a cruiser incident when you were the mayor and still.
Yeah, I remember that. Good
Yeah.
to see you.
We're here just to introduce ourselves. This is Mr. Herman Bentley and
Hey, Mr. Bentley.
Sarah Bentley Foundation, which is a drug and alcohol outpatient, IOP outpatient facility. We already met with City Hall to introduce ourselves. We understand that there's a lot of problems in Harrisburg and Dauphin County, basically. Right now, our population consists of people that refer to us by DOC. And so we're trying to help that population and general population as well. We also want to work with the community. When we met with City Hall, they had indicated that, you know, with all the stuff that's going on with the shootings and everything like that, that we need a more comprehensive, holistic outlook on some of the issues concerning drug and alcohol. And we discussed things concerning parents that are using and addicted to drugs while their kids are being sentenced for selling drugs. We also have a component where we have counselors who worked in Camp Hill State Prison who actually provided counseling to drug dealers. And so we're looking at a whole variety of ways that we can go about helping the community and helping with this drug epidemic in Dauphin County. And I understand Commissioner Douglas worked with the judges in the recovery treatment program.
I mean, I think that's some part of it.
Yeah, and first of all, thank you for coming to offer support community and individuals that are connected to our community in the ways that you are, and the ability for you to come up with creative solutions. I see there's a number of possibilities. There's a partnership with our Dauphin County Drug and Alcohol Department. Kristen Varner is our executive director, and we would be glad to make the connection. My administrative assistant, Julie Mackey, is right back in the corner. We're
Okay.
going to make sure you get her name and information, and we facilitate a meeting between you and her today. The second thing is there's also an opioid remediation grant process. With the settlement that has happened in the opioid realm, there is the ability for creative community partnerships for ways that we can address addiction, particularly related to opioid misuse, with community partners. So we will make you aware of those funding opportunities as well. And then there's prevention, intervention, and other strategies, depending upon what you're attempting to try to do. We can certainly figure out a way to either assist in trying to put you in an evidence-based position to be able to be an active partner in one of those areas, or take the program and model that you have and figure out a way to, see how that has been tried and true. Do you have sort of a model that you're using related to how you're engaging the community in prevention or intervention or holistic treatment, or is it?
Yes, well, I have some brochures here for you guys.
That'd be great.
You're a person, we are licensed by DDAP.
Yep.
And so we are up and running. We've been there for 3 years now.
So you have a facility,
Yes. we do.
and where's it located?
Right behind the governor's mansion, 2001 North Front Street.
On North Front Street.
Yes.
So make sure we get the exchange of information, and we'll connect you with our department to see if there's any ways to partner in the
Thank
future.
you. And thank you so much. I've seen your name in with the judge regarding the recovery treatment on the news, and yeah.
Yeah. They asked for an interview when I was there for that. Yep,
Right.
yep.
So we really-
But I do want to make it clear that this is something that I think all three of us are very passionate about resources for, I mean, I know reentry and also some of the, creative courts that exist now within mental health court and, drug and alcohol court, other opportunities for people that are less punitive. I think it's a priority of all three of us and certainly the courts. And so something we want to continue to expand. And, but thank you for recognizing that.
And
I
thank
think
you guys for letting us introduce ourselves too.
certainly.
Good to see you again.
Good seeing you as well.
And I want to make sure you get with Julie, and
I'll take one of those handbooks though. I'd love to look into that.
looks like you got one for all of us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
May I remember all those days.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Any additional individuals for public comment?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
I have a couple comments on some things that were in the budget today. One of those, again, I will observing the salary board, and that there is a full-time position that pays $18.16 an hour. Again, I will remind you that that is not a livable wage for Dauphin County if you are living alone, one income, and renting an apartment. Depending upon where you look, what sources you look at, average rents in Dauphin County run from $953 to $1,113 per month for a one-bedroom apartment. But what is most troubling is that Zillow, as of June 30th, said that the average rent in Dauphin County is $2,350, $2,350 a month. Now, I understand, as you explained before, that often what we see here in the salary boards are base salaries, and that this particular person who might be in this full-time position may actually be making more than that. But again, I will remind you that $18.16 per hour is not a living wage. If that person is making only that and does not want to spend more than 30% of their income on housing, which is what is recommended, they will barely make the $953. And that is figured on their gross salary, not their net, which will be later than that, which will be less than that. And I'd just like to make a brief comment about about the money being spent on our IT, and especially that you mentioned it relates to the annual budget process. When I was here last week, I mentioned a few things about the budget process, and you all shared some information with me about how the budget process for the county works. And just my little bit of a dive into that in the past week turns out it is rather opaque. So if we are spending additional monies and we have upgraded IT for our annual budget process, then I, as a taxpayer in the county, would like the budget process to be much more transparent than it currently is. When departments are having budget hearings, those need to be advertised clearly on your website, using Facebook, and that the budget be available as soon as the preliminary budget is out, that it needs to be available on the website, and you need to advertise that in social media that that is available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Historically, have we advertised on social media? I know we have probably an obligation to advertise that we're having a meeting, correct?
Yes, but
But
I'm
not on
unaware if
social
we,
media necessarily.
I'm unaware if we put it on social media. I'd have to look into it.
It is, it's the will of this commissioner that
Yeah,
it be
of
put on
course,
social,
sorry.
it's the will of this commissioner that it be put on social media moving forward.
Noted.
Any other individuals that would like to appear before the? All right, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Douglas,
Second.
second by Commissioner Breeze. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
Guys, listen, I never.